The leaders from BC's three main political parties will square off tonight in their only televised debate before Election Day, October 19th. One of the hot topics in this provincial election is dealing with BC's growing housing crisis. Trevor Koot, CEO of the BC Real Estate Association, joined us to discuss what his organization is calling for from candidates in this election.
This election in British Columbia is centered on many different things. Obviously, the public is concerned about a lot of major issues that we're seeing in British Columbia, but across Canada and even globally. But housing and affordability of housing, accessibility, availability of housing are certainly, prime issues that every British Columbian is concerned about, whether, they're in housing today or the next generation is looking for housing. As a result, we have five main platform topics that we're advocating for. Everything from the two primary ones are related to the ability to produce more housing, and that relates to trades and the accessibility to trades for construction and development. And then the other major one is around tax reform and exploring what opportunities there are to adjust the taxes that relate to housing and the transaction of housing in order to explore affordability on a broader scale. And then the three other topics are more closely related to topics that we've seen more in the industry recently. One is short-term rentals. Another is some changes that we saw recently around the rental, the tenancy aspect, buying and selling tenant-occupied properties. And then the fifth is something that's been on our radar for a while and something we've been advocating for, and that is a permanent housing roundtable for the government, a group of stakeholders representing all aspects of housing, rental, sale, Indigenous groups, to be a resource for the government as they explore new policy. The concept of exploring more opportunity for skilled labor, skilled trades in the housing development aspect comes from kind of two primary sources. The first is a project that we did in collaboration with the Canadian Real Estate Association and the Ontario Real Estate Association recently through the Conference Board of Canada. A study that really expressed that there can be some reform around immigration and the types of people that are being explored, the type of skill that is coming into the country to help with the development and construction of real estate. And then the second is a market intelligence report that we did internally at the BC Real Estate Association through our economics department, which really identified that if we're going to meet housing targets, we don't have enough people in the skilled labor environment in order to achieve those goals that have been laid out. And we're looking quite short on the amount of skilled labor, 130,000 vacancy or jobs that we need in that area before 2035. So it's really those two reports that have kind of influenced and informed this policy request. And we're just looking for more opportunity for skilled labor and an increase in funding for skilled labor as it relates to construction and development of the province. And we actually, to be fair, we've seen some announcements recently in lead up to the election that have kind of alluded to addressing those issues. So we're happy with that, and we're hoping that the other parties can kind of echo those. It's an interesting environment in advocacy because we sometimes you feel like you're screaming into the wind, and then something will change, and then you immediately want to take credit for it and say it was because we were screaming into the wind. There's been some announcements that have been very positive. Certainly, that related to trades is directly reflective of the advocacy effort that we've put in. Whether the two are completely related, and the government is actually reading our policy positions, or they're just looking at what it makes logical sense, that's to be argued. But there are several areas that we've started to see some progress. The short-term rental aspect that what we're looking for is some exclusionary areas and industries in order to better accommodate the opportunity for short-term rental. That's not been entirely adopted, but we're starting to see more conversation in that area. And then the one, like the primary one, having a permanent housing roundtable, we've heard from some of the parties that they would explore this with us, but no commitments by anybody at this point.